I call this meeting to order. Please stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
All right. Commissioner Serco?
Present.
Commissioner Sotile?
Present.
Commissioner Edison?
Present.
All right. And let the record show that Commissioner Morose and Pollock-Rude are absent.
Thank you. Welcome to the El Cajon Planning Commission meeting. This meeting is being live streamed on the City of El Cajon website. Appeals of final decisions of the Planning Commission made this evening must be filed in writing with the City Clerk before 5 p.m. Monday, January 6, 2025, and must include the payment of a filing fee. If you wish to speak on either a non-agenda or agenda item tonight, please fill out a request to speak card located by the agenda and turn it into the Secretary, who will call you up to speak when the agenda item comes up for public comment. We ask that you give us your name, spelling your last name. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The display on the podium as well as other monitors in the chambers will show time counting down. At 30 seconds, the podium clock readout will turn red, signifying you have 30 seconds until the end of your time. Applicants and individuals representing groups of people may be allowed more time if appropriate. All public hearing comments should be addressed to me as the chair of the commission and not to individual commissioners or to staff members. Please turn off all electronic devices if you have not already done so. Pursuant to City Council Resolution number 114-79, a commissioner who has received evidence related to a matter before the Planning Commission other than an unescorted view of the subject property is required to disclose such information at the hearing. At this time, we'll take comments from any member of the public on any item of business within the jurisdiction of the Commission that is not on the agenda. Under state law, no action can be taken on items brought forward under public comment except to refer it to staff for administration or place it on a future agenda. If there is anyone who wishes to address the Commission under public comment, please come forward. And did we receive any public comments on?
No.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to the consent calendar. A single motion will cover all items on the consent calendar. Does the Commission wish to pull a consent calendar item for discussion? Does staff wish to pull a consent calendar item for discussion?
No changes from staff.
All right. Then we will.
I move to adopt.
I will second.
Motion made by Commissioner Sotile, seconded by Commissioner Edison. Please vote.
And motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
Thank you. We'll move on to the public hearings. There was a request if we could move or swap around a little bit. Hearing agenda item number 5. If you wish to step forward, I'm going to hash it. So can you explain what we're doing?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I think staff's recommendation would be to consider changing the order of the agenda tonight, moving item 5 forward. Item 5 is a revocation hearing, and it's customary in a revocation hearing to have a full commission present. So tonight, in that we have 2 absent commissioners, I want to forward the option for the applicant to request that continuance. I can also give a short presentation, and I believe the applicant does have some additional information that they would like to share with the Commission.
All right. If the Planning Commission is okay with that.
Yep. Is the owner present tonight?
Is the owner present? You can just signify by
Yes, sir.
Yes, the owner is present. All right. The Planning Commission wish to move agenda item number 5 to the forefront?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Do we need to make any motion on that change to the agenda? All right. Then we'll move to agenda item number 5. This is the Palms Restaurant and Banquet Hall. The request is to consider revocation of conditional use permit number 2115. It is CEQA exempt. Staff recommendation is to revoke CUP number 2115 if the business is not operating in accordance with required conditions of approval. Staff?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
I'll call on you in a bit. Don't worry.
So just as a reminder, 143 East Main Street is operated as the Palms Restaurant and Banquet Hall. It is authorized by conditional use permit number 2115. Sorry, let me get to the correct slide there. When the conditional use permit was originally approved in 2010, the City Council did find that the operation needed to be as a restaurant during normal retail business hours, and it was necessary in order to promote an active retail corridor along East Main Street. So here's just an image of the subject site. On February 20th of 2024, the Planning Commission reviewed the conditional use permit after complaints were received that the business was not operating as a restaurant. At that time, the business operator attended the meeting, and the Planning Commission directed staff to work with the business operator. In March of 2024, the business operator provided staff with a restaurant menu. But then over the summer, staff did receive some additional complaints that the business wasn't operating as a restaurant. On November 19th of 2024, an additional review of the conditional use permit was conducted by the Planning Commission, where the Planning Commission received testimony that the business was operating in a manner that was mostly similar to a private club without a printed menu. The Planning Commission ultimately directed staff to schedule a revocation hearing that we're conducting here tonight. So since that time, staff did conduct additional site visits. We observed the addition of 2 open signs that were added above the windows on East Main Street. We also were presented with a laminated menu during one of the site visits. So the applicant has taken some positive steps in response to the previous Planning Commission meeting. So staff's recommendation for tonight was to either for the Planning Commission to revoke the conditional use permit or to provide additional direction to staff. In light of our current circumstances, the applicant would like to request the continuance, so that could be considered by the Commission. I would request if there's any additional information that the Commission would like, if a continuance is granted. One of the things that were discussed was the possibility of asking the applicant for a schedule of events just to confirm which nights are restaurants and which nights are being operated as a banquet hall, just so that there's clarity for all parties that are involved. So with that, that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
I do
Mr.
have
Edison?
questions, but it's more for the owner. I think the staff has given a tremendous presentation. The last time we had this, it was more of a representative who didn't really have the authority to speak on behalf of the business. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't here. I came to Sawmill 3 days before the meeting. I told him, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to just keep quorum.
Hold on just a moment. We will call you forward. Right now, I'm asking if they have any questions for the staff.
Okay.
Once we've got that out of the way, we'll open the public hearing. All right. So you've got questions for the owner.
Yeah, my questions are going to be more
Okay.
for the owner. I think the staff has really given a really good presentation.
Okay.
That's it from me.
All right.
Noah, is the current location currently operating as a restaurant?
Upon our last inspection, when staff entered the business, we were presented with a menu and the option to order food. I think in the meetings that we've had with the applicant, there's some additional steps that they would like to take. I believe that the operator would like to describe some of those to the Planning Commission this evening.
Thank you.
All right. I have no questions for staff either. So we will move on to open the public hearing. Do we have speaker cards for this item?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have the Firas Jebo.
All right. I was going to say, can we have the owner come up first?
That is the speaker card I have.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Hi.
evening.
It's evening. Before you get started, I do want to present you with the question. Often with the revocation, it's customary to have a full planning commission. We are 2 commissioners shy, so you do have the option of waiting to get the full commission before we weigh in on this.
Yeah, if we can reschedule it, would be better for me. I'm working with Noah also. I'm doing
Okay.
some changes.
All right.
Okay?
Now, go ahead and what was it that you wanted to say aside from that?
Oh, last time I didn't show up. So my partners came in, and I told them I wasn't going to be here like a week before. As soon as they sent me the email, I was out of town for that week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, you were out of town?
Yeah.
We were told you were sick.
I told them I was going to be out of town, so I don't know if they, yeah.
All right. So the big question is, we want to know that your restaurant is operating as a restaurant.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. We're just having a big problem with the parking lot, the front and the back. We put a sign to park in the rear from the front door, but they want us to open from the front. So we got a couple desks, the hostess desk, and I'm going to hire somebody like by the front door on the main street.
Okay.
I'm trying to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then staff had asked if there's a schedule. For instance, do you have regular restaurant hours Sunday through Thursday and banquet hours Friday and Saturday, or something to that effect?
Sure. I came and talked to Noah on Friday. I told him that I need more time if I can reschedule today.
Okay.
Yeah. But just for you to know, I was out of town. My wife was sick. She had to do surgery that week. So just maybe that's what your guys told me, but I was out of town. She had to do a surgery out of town.
She doing better?
Huh?
Is she
Oh, yeah.
doing
Yeah,
okay?
she's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Questions for the applicant?
Not at this time, maybe next time.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The representative that was here, I don't remember his name. I do apologize.
His name is Faris, previous owner.
Yeah, he told us he was a previous owner.
Yes.
Does he speak on behalf of you? Does he have
I-
any? Does he have any authority to speak on behalf of your establishment?
I asked him to come, yes. I
No,
did.
no. Does he have any authority to speak on behalf of you?
I told him to, yes, to come and speak behalf of me. I wasn't going to make it.
No, let me. I'll just rephrase the question. I'm not trying to do like a. Does he have the authority to speak on behalf of anything that he says? Is he speaking on behalf of you?
Yes.
Okay.
That brings up a question. Does he have power of attorney?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this has come up like a couple of times now. This is, I believe, the third time.
This is the third hearing.
So now it's become like, okay, what's going on? One of the meetings, the staff asked for a menu. They said they didn't have one. Can you explain that? Because that was a question I had for him, and he could not answer.
They gave her a menu, but just we didn't have a menu to go. So they asked us to have a menu. We did have a menu. She asked menu to go, so they gave her a menu. They
Okay,
did.
so that wasn't what we were told. Last time we were told that it was a language barrier. That was what we were told. That the staff asked for a menu, and he said there was a language barrier, but that's what we were told. I just wanted to make sure that you know that what he said.
I'll talk to him, so I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
I'll talk to
that
him.
was one of the issues that we had because we were talking to him, but he didn't really have the authority to speak on behalf of you. That's why I don't really want to I don't want to hold you to task for what he said. I just want to make sure you know what he did relay to us. So the fact that he said that,
But when she came in, they asked for a menu. We gave him a menu. So I'm not sure what he's trying to tell me. What are you asking me? Somebody from the city came into the place, to the restaurant. They asked for a menu. We gave them a menu.
Well, then-
So I'm not sure.
well, that this is what these meetings are for. So let's clear it up because I don't want to become confrontational. It's more of a question. Let's clear it up. So I'll bring it to staff. When staff came and asked, and they asked for a menu, what happened?
Sure. I think that possibly there's two issues that are going on here. So as I recall at the last hearing, the testimony that was provided was that that they didn't have a printed menu, and that the menu, that everyone knew what the menu was, though, so that they could order by memory, but that they didn't have a printed menu. So after that hearing, we did conduct 2 additional inspections at the property, and that's where staff was presented with a laminated menu that was not a to-go menu. So I think there's just the two issues that are going on there.
And so thank you. Second question was regarding the entrance. Staff were talking about having I believe it was Main Street.
Yes.
And what we were told by your representative, who, again, I will give credit where credit's due, he doesn't have the authority to speak on behalf of you. He said it wasn't that big of a deal. He didn't understand why this is even coming up. To me, it is a little bit of a big deal. I've lived in El Cajon for numerous years, and if we say it's not a big deal for one business, how are we going to hold to task other businesses for that? And what he said was it's not that big of a deal. That is what he said. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying what he said. So have you been able to correct the entrance?
Yes.
Okay. How did you correct it?
Are you talking about like the front where we're having a problem, or you're talking about the back parking lot?
And staff,
Can I ask you something? Have you been to the place?
And staff can correct me if I'm wrong. One of the issues that they had was that on the main entrance, we wanted to be able to see what was going on, not inspect, but patrons be able to see what's going on to walk. Is that what was going? It's more for staff, not. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure, because you weren't here, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's not fair to you. It's just not fair. So I want to make sure you hear what staff said, so that way you'll be able to answer for yourself. I think that's the fair thing to do.
Yeah, in some of the meetings that I've had with the speaker, we have talked about implementing a hostess stand or other elements that would better convey the restaurant to the public as they're walking by. The windows are to remain open and visible. They've added those open signs, so they have taken some steps.
Some steps, but not all. So I guess my question for you, now that we actually have you here, and I understand life happens, you have to take care of your family. We respect that. And I don't think the city of El Cajon is in the business of closing down businesses. That doesn't make any sense. I think what the city of El Cajon is saying is that everybody needs to be going under the same set of rules. So have you been able to correct the problems that staff are seeing, especially in regards to the hostess? I don't see how that's a hard problem to fix.
If you come to the place, I can just show you around. You can understand a little bit better. The entrance is from the back, from the day that I bought it. I've been at this place for 2 years and a few months. And it was all the windows covered. That picture right here, it wasn't me. When I bought the place 2.5 years ago, it was all covered. So first, Noah told me that they want to be able to see the windows, doors open, parking in the rear. So the bar that we have is in the back. So when I met him on Friday, I told him that I'm going to hire somebody, a hostess table, and leave somebody in the front on the main street. Now, the business is not that busy. It's going to probably be easy. It's going to cost me about $40,000 to $50,000 a year to have one person by the door just to approach people. If somebody doesn't want to walk on the other side. But if that's what the city wants, it's okay, we got it. When Mr. Fares came in, I asked him to come in because he knows the place better than I do. I don't live around here. I'm 2 hours away. They're my partners. So when he came in, he didn't know that they were going to talk about the menu. I didn't tell him that, to be honest with you.
You're referencing the guy that was here.
He was a previous owner.
Okay.
So I didn't tell him anything about the menu. I thought it was more, you guys want the clear windows, sign that says open, then the parking in the back. There's no parking in the front. We're having a problem even till today with the parking. Then there's another building that when that building is done, we're here on this corner, good luck with the parking. I'm telling you, we're having a lot of problems with the parking.
Well, no, that's fair, and no, that's fair. I think for me, it was hard for us to direct questions because he was. No, I'll walk that back. he wasn't presenting himself as the owner. He was saying that he kind of knew what was going on. So I guess my last two questions, because I don't want to monopolize the time. Is your commitment to work with the city?
100%.
I didn't even. Is your commitment to work with the city to make the corrections necessary to keep your CUP? And that's the first question, number one. And question number two is your business a restaurant or is it a club? Those are my two questions.
Yeah, I'm working with Noah. I'm doing everything that I can. And I would love to have somebody from the city to come into the restaurants. It's a banquet hall and a restaurant. And if I can operate as a restaurant, I'm telling you, I'm selling that business tomorrow. What's paying my bills is the banquet hall. It's not doing good as a restaurant. There's a restaurant around here. I count them. I don't live around here. I'll be honest with you. I count them. The whole city right here on this street, the restaurant, there was not even 32 people. I'm not sure how they pay their rent. I don't know how they pay their employee. But that's your city. You know your business. But if I operate just as a restaurant, I'm not going to make it here. I tell you that. What paying my bills is the banquet hall.
Well, then I have an additional question. What is your CUP?
It's a restaurant and a banquet hall, so we're doing both. We are a restaurant and a banquet hall. But the problem first, what I understand from Noah, you guys want the glass to be clear, sign says open, and the bars, that's what I'm saying. I want somebody from the city, come to the place, and I can show you around. Stay over there with me 1 hour so you can see what I'm talking about. It's very hard to control. There's 3 doors. So if I put somebody by the front door, you're going to tell me put somebody at the back door. I put somebody in the back door, you're like put somebody by that door. So come to the place, you tell me how you want it, and I'll do it 100%. No question asked.
So I guess, because I want to cut myself off, so you would agree that you're willing to work with the city to make the corrections necessary to keep your CUP? Is that a yes or a no?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and then as far as your CUP, my second question is: are you aware of what your CUP is? It's to operate as a restaurant
And banquet hall.
and a banquet hall.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
You're
Primarily a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually-
85% restaurant, 15% is going to be the banquet hall.
Well, I'll defer to staff on that. Is that correct?
Yes, the way the conditional use permit was approved was a restaurant with alcohol sales with ancillary banquet use, which is typically up to 15%. So that's really where a schedule of events of when banquets are occurring and when the restaurant is open would be very beneficial for staff and to be able to share with the commission.
Okay. Thank you. I'll cut myself off.
Just
All
one
right.
more thing, please. And I asked Noah, if I have somebody from the city come into my place and tell me how you want it, it's better than every time coming to the meeting. So I came in on Friday. I came in today. I'm going to come again, My partners run the business, not me. Mm-hmm. So you can come in because we were talking about moving a couple things around. The bar's on the back side. We were talking to build another bar in the front. I think I told them that I bought already the hostess table in the front on the main street. I'm going to hire a girl, like a person there, and we'll see. I don't know what else to do. I'm not sure what else to do. If somebody comes in and tell me, do this, that, then we can understand it a little bit better, If you don't know how the parking lot's working and what's going on in that business, it's very hard for you to understand. Nobody comes in from the main street. You want people to see it. I understand that. We don't cover it to hide anything. People, they're eating, they're sitting down. I understand, I get it. And one more thing, so just for you to know, the pictures you saw was before I owned that business or at the time that I bought that business. If it was a year after that, as soon as you brought it to my attention, I cleared all the glass. And before I bought it, it was a lot more worse. I'll be honest with you, I have pictures. It was a lot more worse. So I don't know where was city before me from the person that I bought it from. Now they're asking me a lot more than the previous owner.
I would correct that and say that the original CUP was written the same way, and the complaints were what brought it to our attention. But I appreciate all the effort you're going into, because I recognize how these buildings were built with the parking lot on the backside in the alley. So that's the main entrance, even though the main street is what we're trying to get activated and make Elkhorn a walkable city and attractive to people as they walk by to go, oh, there's an open restaurant. So I appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you, Paul.
Any questions from staff? I think you guys have had more conversation with him, though.
No questions from staff.
Okay. So as it currently stands, we will continue hearing whatever testimony, but by your request, we'll wait until we've got a full quorum, a full commission to finish the hearing. So at the end of the hearing, we're not going to close it. We're not going to make a decision. We're just going to continue it until the next meeting.
Sure.
And can I just add one more thing? If you continue to work with the city and work with the staff, I mean, I don't think El Cajon's in the business of closing businesses. That doesn't even make any sense. So just keep the communication going, work with staff, and just make the corrections, and I think you'll be okay. If not, then I mean, that's a different sermon. But just keep working with the city. I think you'll be okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Do we have any other speaker cards for this item?
Not for this item.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing, please?
Oh,
It would be easier if I can have somebody from the city to come to the restaurant, please. Just so for me to tell me how you guys want to set up, what do you want to see in the front. That one makes it easy, so I know what you guys talking about. Because, you know, the first time I came in, they had a tinted windows, like I don't cover, so we took all that stuff out. We put clean it, put a sign that it says parking in the back, like things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's a fair question.
I think what the city has directed is that when you walk on Main Street, you or I walking down the sidewalk can look in the restaurant and see people eating and see, oh, that's a restaurant. I wonder what they're eating, what they're serving. We're not going to make you do a Cinnabon where the vents smoking everybody out there with whatever you're cooking, which is excellent, but, you know, we're not going to make you do that. Just people walking by should be able to go, oh, I wonder what's in this restaurant, and have a person at the door so that when they go, hey, would you like to be seated?
I can do that, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I make a suggestion, when the CUP was approved in 2010, there was conditions of approval. If you don't have a copy of those, you should ask the staff to give you a copy of those conditions of approval. It states very specifically what you can and what you can't do. So it's very clear. It's not a matter of discussing it. It's in black and white.
Sure, I have it now.
Have it? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank
you.
All right. There are no further speaker cards. Is there anyone who wishes to speak who would like to come up, and you can fill out a speaker card afterwards? No? Okay. Then at this time we will, do we need to make a motion for the continuance?
Yes, we
Okay.
would motion to continue. Staff would recommend the first
date,
meeting in February. We would anticipate renoticing this hearing just so that the surrounding property owners can receive notice.
Okay.
I think the first meeting in February would give us 30 days of data on the calendar in order to better analyze and bring back more information to the commission.
All right.
Just for the chair, he's requesting somebody from the city to come down and inspect it. I mean, be careful what you ask for, but he's requesting somebody from the city to come down and show him everything that's wrong with this business. Is that something that we can add
Or
to
just
the
show
motion?
the expectations.
That's a better
Hopefully
way to put it.
you understood the expectations.
Is that what you're asking for? Is somebody from the city to tell you what you need to have to keep this CUP operational?
Yeah.
Is that something that we can do?
I think from a staff perspective, we'll continue to work with the applicant. I mean, ultimately, the applicant is going to have to decide to make certain improvements, and I can't, in advance of a public hearing, tell him that those are the necessary improvements that you need to make to the business, because it's ultimately at the discretion of the Planning Commission. So I can make suggestions and give him ideas on things that would make the business operate more like a restaurant. But that would be something that the commission would consider at the next hearing, at the continued hearing, excuse me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, then I would suggest that I would agree to review the CUP in its entirety and handle your business, for lack of a better term. But I would tell you that El Cajon's not in the business of closing businesses. I mean, it's like the last resort, but I mean, I would look at your CUP.
Right. Well, I move to continue this meeting so sometime in February when the staff prepares it. Okay.
And I will second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Sotile, seconded by Commissioner Edison. Please vote.
And motion passes with unanimously with members present.
All right, and we will announce the date and make sure you know in advance. All right, thank you. And thank you to everyone who was patient while we swapped that around. We will move on to agenda item number 2, which is the Elkhorn Senior Living Facility. The request is for a 156-bed care facility. It is CEQA exempt, and staff's recommendation is approval. Staff?
Test. There we go. Okay. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Mike Villione, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. This item is a conditional use permit application submitted by Marshall Lots LLC for a residential care facility. The subject application proposes to redevelop the nursery property at 1163 North 2nd Street with a 156-bed residential care facility licensed by the California Department of Social Services. The facility would provide assisted living and memory care services in a contemporary Italianate 3-story building with resident amenities and enclosed parking garage. The general plan designation and zoning designation of 1163 North 2nd are both general commercial. The site is also within the boundaries of specific plan number 16, which approved the current street pattern surrounding the subject property. According to the commercial land use table, a residential care facility may be authorized by conditional use permit in the general commercial zone. The subject site is located on the east side of North 2nd Street between Sumner and Persimmon Avenues. The property is approximately 1.3 acres in size and has alley access at the rear. The property is bordered by single-family homes and townhomes to the east across the alley, various retail commercial uses to the north and south, and a daycare and automobile repair uses to the west across North 2nd Street. All existing site improvements and structures would be demolished with proposed redevelopment. Here's the proposed architectural site plan from the agenda report. The building, inclusive of the parking area covered by the courtyard, has a footprint of approximately 45,000 square feet and a gross building area of approximately 87,000 square feet across all 3 stories. Primary access to the building and its enclosed parking garage is provided by a 24-foot wide commercial driveway along North 2nd Street. It's important to note that while receiving areas and the interior trash enclosure are accessible to service trucks from the alley, the parking garage does not open onto the alley. The proposed care facility observes all general commercial development standards and exceeds setback requirements by observing minimum 10-foot dimensions from all property lines. These setback areas are landscaped with trees proposed along the 2nd Street and alley frontages. Project drainage basins are found on the north and south sides of the building behind wrought iron fencing, which secures all areas of the property except the front yard setback areas. The courtyard shown at the center of the plan covers the enclosed parking area from above. Here's the first floor plan showing the ground floor layout, including office and administration spaces, 28 assisted living units, receiving and trash enclosure off the alley, all wrapping the parking garage. 61 stalls are provided within the enclosed garage in accordance with the parking study prepared for the project. An additional space is also provided within the garage for an on-site medical van for storage when not in use. The second floor plan shown here includes administration spaces, 58 assisted living units, the courtyard above the parking garage, as well as amenity spaces like a dining area, beauty salon, viewing lounge, and game room, where programming can be provided for residents. And finally, the third floor, which includes 42 assisted living units, glass-enclosed viewing decks, and the memory care wing. The memory care wing includes 20 units and 28 beds, as well as dining space and amenities, including a dedicated viewing deck at the rear of the building. The memory care wing is separated and secured by delayed egress doors. Note that all assisted living units have 1 bed regardless of floor and include studios and 1 bedrooms ranging in size between 315 square feet and 600 square feet. Memory care units are 1 and 2 bedroom and range in size from 320 square feet to 530 square feet. The proposed building, shown here in renders, incorporates stone veneer, varying earth tone stucco and plaster, and is articulated with upper story decks and projections to enhance its appearance. The building has a maximum height to the top of its parapet of 35 feet and a height of 43 feet to the top of the stairwells. These heights are consistent with general commercial and zoning code limitations. It's also important to note that the building is recessed into the site, which slopes down from the alley approximately 7 feet to North 2nd Street. When seen from the rear, the building would appear to be less than a complete 3 stories tall, with a height of approximately 30 feet. To address concerns about the potential impact of its operations on emergency services, the application includes 2 technical studies and an operations manual. The studies conclude that calls for emergency service could be reduced to 27 per year with the implementation of its operations plan. 27 calls per year is consistent with the Walgreens on North 2nd Street, which is a by-right land use operating on a similarly sized property. The operation plan includes a suite of procedures, including notably on-site staff with relevant training, including certificates in cardiac life support and geriatric emergency medicine, 24/7 telemedicine access to board-certified practitioners, contracts with 2 private EMS providers for ambulance service and paramedic rounds at the facility, and advanced monitoring systems using alarms, wearable devices, and AI-driven camera monitoring. Required findings for the project can be made. Regional forecasts anticipate a nearly 30% increase in the number of city residents aged 65 and older by 2050, which the facility will help to accommodate and serve. Further, the facility will be compatible with the community and surrounding land uses with proposed conditions. These include requiring the facility to implement its operations plan, and should calls exceed 27 per year, providing for cost recovery by the city and a requirement for public hearing before the Planning Commission to determine the adequacy of the conditional use permit provisions. Complete findings are provided in the agenda report. The proposed project is exempt from the environmental review requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15332 for infill development projects. Staff therefore recommend approval of the CEQA determination and conditional use permit. This concludes staff's report. Thank you.
All right, I have one major question right off the bat. The receiving and trash enclosures. I see they're set back a little bit more, but will a delivery vehicle, is this like large truck delivery, or is this small package delivery? We're not talking pallets and food. Like a food service truck, in my experience, is like a 20, 26, 30-foot truck that normally parks either in, backs up into a bay to deliver a pallet straight across, or parks next to a bay where it can offload the truck pallet and then bring it in. And this does not look like a 30-foot truck's going to fit in that spot. So
the applicant and the team are here, and they can speak probably more capably to I than their operations. It does not include your typical sloped delivery bay that you're describing, which you would normally see at a grocery store, for example, where you have to be serviced by an 18-wheeler. I would anticipate probably small box trucks serving the property in terms of provisions for their commercial kitchen and so forth. EDCO did review and confirm that they could service the property, and it's not unusual to have those sorts of facilities have the rollout dumpsters slide out, be serviced, and then put back into the enclosure. So staff didn't anticipate any major concerns with that operation during our review. Okay.
And then this alley is all that separates this building from residential across the street, and a fence, a mason wall, I believe, on that other side of the alley, I hope. But backing up trucks, timing, those are all covered in our conditions of approval?
There are not specific conditions related to backup alarms or delivery hours. There are, of course, references and the application of normal code enforcement procedures, which would deal with, compliance with the noise ordinance and various other nuisances that might occur with the operation of any land use. But should the commission so decide, conditions could be incorporated, limiting delivery hours.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Mr. Sotile?
The residents in the senior living facility, would they be allowed to have their own vehicle?
I again would probably direct that question to the applicant. The parking study provided for the application indicates that 0.39 spaces per bed was the appropriate rate, and that's based on the Institute for Traffic Engineering Parking Generation Manual. The anticipated number of staff at a given time, based on the description, was, I believe, approximately 40 employees. So there would be space to accommodate vehicles for residents, and I haven't seen any preclusion or prohibition in any of their documents suggesting that for residents.
All right, we'll bring that up with the...
There would be some space for the residents to have their own vehicle.
There would be space.
And how many elevators are in the premises?
I believe there are 2.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Edison?
In regards to public service and the calls for service, the concern, and I think it's a good project, but my concern is on the anticipated in reviewing this as the calls for service. Is there, well, maybe it's more of a question for the applicant. Is there a on-duty RN? And I'm reading this, and I'm seeing that there's going to be an increased calls for service, which is going to put a little bit of a strain on where we're at right now. Not that I'm saying I'm against it. I just want to see what the applicant has in anticipation for calls for service. I think it's more of a question for the applicant, I guess.
All right, so we will ask the applicant. And by the way, I was looking at the plans. There are 4 elevators.
4.
There are
Okay,
2 in the
even
front and 1 on either back corner. All right, any other questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, if I may interject as well, I just want to acknowledge Chief Coe from Heartland Fire and Rescue is here. Heartland Fire and Rescue did review the call for service plan. It was a very critical item as part of the assessment and recommendation associated with this project. So he can address any questions related to that. But again, as Mr. Villion said, we would defer to the applicant to talk more about those implementation measures that they proposed.
All right. I think it's time to open the public hearing and get our first speaker up.
Robert Garmo has a speaker card.
All right.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
First of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. Great to see you guys. Been here before you in the past. I represent the ownership group, and over the last 3 years, I got to say something about Mike and Noah. They've been awesome. And the fire marshal, we've been working hand in hand with lots of issues, try to resolve them, including 911 calls. We have lots of studies to fall back on, lots of operational measures. We have our entire team here, from architects, engineers, CEQA studies for 911 calls, and the operational aspects of it. Just a couple of little things. I've lived in El Cajon and worked in El Cajon for nearly 30 years. I'm really part of El Cajon. I can't tell you how proud I am of El Cajon over the last 20, 30 years, what's happened. You know, multicultural, beautiful city, property values skyrocketing, ADR rates and occupancy rates on our hotels are going skyrocketing. I'm so proud to bring more development into El Cajon, and that's really my mission. I am so proud of El Cajon that I want to bring that development. When we started talking about developing this project, I spoke with our architect, Douglas Pancake. I said to him, I only have one condition. I want this property to be a trophy-type property. I'm 58 years old. I said in 25, 30 years from now, If I need memory care or assisted living, I'd love to be on that property. It's designed beautifully. It has atriums right in the middle, 2 terraces so that you can be looking out west, watching the sunset over Cowles Mountain. I mean, I wanted those things for myself, to be honest with you, so that we've taken every single measure possible to reduce 911 calls. I've contracted with 3 separate ambulance companies that if we need assistance, our operational measures should handle it. Somebody falls out of bed. Typically, you're in your 6 to 8 bed facility. Most of the calls are about somebody falling out of bed. We're not going to have that issue. We're going to have 24-hour, round-the-clock nurses, 80 people we're going to hire, high-paying jobs, who are going to take care of these residents. And if they can't take care of them, God forbid, a heart attack, whatever, we've got backup after backup after backup systems. And so if you have specific questions, our staff is here to answer all your questions.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
The first question was about delivery hours. Do you have any operational plan? I know that a facility that cares for 168 people is going to be making a lot of food, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast food has to be delivered before breakfast so the cooks can get to it. Just making sure that we're not disturbing the residents in the neighborhood on the other side of the alley.
Absolutely. I don't know if this issue has come up in the past, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was an issue. But generally speaking, I don't anticipate a lot of deliveries. We're not Costco, or, it's food, right? And it's not going to be your 20 to 30-foot trucks bringing in food every single day. These are seniors, and we're going to have some deliveries. We can absolutely limit them to, whatever, 8 to 5, whatever hours that are reasonable. Certainly we don't want night delivery ourselves, right?
Right.
So I think that's reasonable. I don't see that as an issue.
Okay.
This is going to be intermediate care, correct? Not necessarily care for those who cannot care for themselves.
Well, it's not independent living. It's assisted living primarily and memory care secondarily.
Okay.
And
So
memory
if-
care is pretty intense.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have a couple, for example, husband and wife, and one needs memory care, the other one does not, but they want to still stay together, they could stay together in your facility or no?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on operations. I know from my understanding of the way we structured it is memory care is in the 3rd floor. We don't want them wandering around, so more eyes are on them. Whereas the rest of the facility, there's a little more access to the atrium, to the terraces, and so forth. In that example, honestly, it would have to be kind of evaluated by our intake staff, the nurses, to see if it's can you put somebody with memory care issues in the same room because they're related, they're husband and wife? I don't know how to answer that question, honestly.
Right. That's where the parking might come into play, where one partner is still driving and they have an automobile.
Well, I beg to differ with that. I don't anticipate anybody having a car there, not like zero. And the reason is this is not senior living, and there are senior living facilities. This is assisted living. People come to us because they can't take care of themselves. And I'm not an expert on DMV laws and all that. Typically, if you can't take care of yourself, you're not supposed to drive. So there's no reason. Parents or loved ones will drop them off and visit them, yes. But we will have a van. If they want to go do, and we will have activities for them, to do this, maybe to go to a park, maybe to go to whatever, right? We will have, but I do not see any of them actually having their own cars.
Okay. Thank you.
For me, it's more, I'm a public safety buff. In regards to call for service, and maybe it's more of an issue more of a question for the fire department and the calls for service. That's the reason why I asked more about, is there going to be an on-duty 24-hour RN? Because maybe we can avoid some 911 calls. I want to quantify that to say if you need 911, you need it. It's more for the public to know, is there going to be a 24-hour medical provider on duty? And then the second question, I guess, would be more for the impact for public calls for service. If they don't anticipate a strain on the calls for service, I think this is something that's needed. I think that we're all going to need it at some point in our lives. I think it's a good project. I don't see holes and gaps, but I do worry about the calls for service and the impact and the strain on our local fire department.
And the only thing, and you know, that's extremely reasonable to me. That's very reasonable. The first thing that was kind of portrayed to us by the fire marshal, by the city is, look, you know, you can bring more 160 people here, and they're all elderly, right? So everything we've done over the last 2 to 3 years has been to respond to that. From, imposing strict guidelines and an operational manual on how we're going to deal with that. Right.
So I guess the more direct question for me is there's going to be operational things which you can appreciate. There's going to be operational needs. I guess the more direct question is, will you guys have a 24-hour medical? Not talking like. Do you have a 24-hour medical provider that's available to maybe avoid some of the less crucial needs, to put less of a strain on our fire department? Maybe falling out of a bed, you got to go to the hospital, obviously. But if it's something less drastic, is it something that maybe that the provider, that the local owner, applicant can take care of? Have you guys anticipated that, and are you providing for that? That's my only question, because I think it's a good project.
Right. And I think the best answer I can give you is that we've taken plan A, B, C, and D into consideration. Plan A is to have 24-hour service, professional service to help these people, right? So now they can't. Someone has a heart attack, God forbid. So now what do we do? So now there's plan B, whether it's the nurse triage program, whether it's telemedicine, whether it's, we have provided an agreement with 3 ambulance companies. And one of them is basically the most important one, I thought, was that they will not refuse any service, that they're within their community, their line of work, that if they get a call and they can't meet that call right away, it automatically goes to the next person in line or the next company in line. So we have, look, here's the best thing I can tell you. If we're in operations and there are calls coming in for 911 left and right, then something is wrong, right? We have to then change our approach. I think we have spent so much energy, studies, and time to try to perfect, to make sure that this is not going to be a hindrance on our 911 calls. And
I want to make sure you understand that I don't think anyone's expecting perfection. You can't anticipate the anticipated, but can the city anticipate that you have at least some form of medical care 24 hours? I guess that's an easier question.
yes?
I think that question has been answered twice, and from experience, memory care, you're required to have someone on call 24 hours.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Okay,
we
then
have
there you go.
24-hour. So Paul Mullen, Flatiron, we retained him, and he has tremendous experience in the operational aspects and management. I think he was involved with the La Mesa project, right?
I guess for me it was, and you're right, it's been answered twice. So I don't want to belabor the point. My question mainly is for the public. Can the public anticipate, at least the city, anticipate that you have 24-hour medical, at least to triage it?
Yes.
If the answer is
It's
yes,
required by the Department of Social Services in our license, yes.
then we're good. That's the
All
answer.
right, hold on
Then we're
just
good.
a moment. Mr. Speaker. Paul? Can you identify yourself?
Sure. Mullen, Mullin, Paul.
Okay. And I didn't catch what your role is.
Flatiron is an operational and development company in senior housing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like Flatiron, okay.
We'll be helping Robert set up the operations in the community. We also help with this program, which I've honestly never seen anybody so diligent to address EMS services than this project. We've done projects all over the country. Other communities have similar problems with EMS, but honestly, I've never seen a plan like the one that Robert's put together with us.
All right.
And it's not difficult to implement. It's just something I've never seen before for assisted living.
Awesome.
And the idea behind assisted living with the Department of Social Services license is that you are caring 24/7 for your elderly residents. The unfortunate thing is it's very difficult to understand who's calling for service when you look at a population of El Cajon. Is it people in assisted living, or is it an 85-year-old that fell out of bed calling from home? So
Yeah.
I can assure you, in assisted living, we're caring for those residents. We're not looking to pass the buck on to EMS.
All right, thank you. Do we need him to fill out a speaker card? Yes. All right, Mr. Paul, I'm sorry, lost your last name again. Mullen. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right. Any other questions?
No.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Garma. Do we have other speaker cards?
We do not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this? Okay, you can come up, speak, and then fill out a speaker card and turn that in afterwards.
Good evening, everyone. I'm one of the homeowner in the back behind the building that's going to be built.
Okay, can you
And
spell
I have
your last name, please?
Ahmadi, Ahmadi.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so one of my concerns is about the privacy of my home, and the main source of sunlight in our home is through the backside, and we have 3 big windows. And during the day, we have to let it open, all the curtains and stuff, so that we can get the sunlight inside the house. So my biggest concern about the privacy is that once the building is built, a 3-story building with many windows, what is going to be happen to our privacy? Because we will have people watching into our windows, and they can guarantee anything about that as well. And they also said selfishly about that how they want to enjoy the sunset while taking that right from us, and it's going to have a big effect on our house. And one of the reasons that I bought specifically that house in this city is that because of the big opening at the backside, so that I can have a view of the city and the daylight and everything else. So yeah, and also the concern about the carbon footprints that is going to bring inside my house to the backside, and that's also one of the reasons that I want to ask them if they have any plans about those concerns that I have today.
All right. Staff?
So, staff, of course, enforces the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance in the general commercial zone provides a height limit of 35 feet. We expressed on multiple occasions in early submittals concerns with the relationship between the building and the surrounding residential properties across the alley. Ultimately, revisions were made to the application to try to make accommodations for the residential properties and improve the compatibility by setting the building down into that pad rather than keeping it elevated and filling it, which is how the initial submittals were made. So again, where 35 feet is the normal height limit from the back, the building sits probably 30 feet, a good 5 feet lower than the actual height limit that's permitted by the code. In terms of transparency and windows facing adjacent private property, of course there will be windows. We don't have controls in the code that would allow staff to really enforce a restriction on the orientation of those windows. There is, of course, a viewing deck in the back, and that is a concern, but perhaps conditions of approval might be added to require, smoked glass or something else, or planting along that area to limit, privacy. But that is the memory care wing, and then I think that's worth noting.
Okay.
And one more question is that since we are private homeowners and it's our private party, and especially on the weekends, some residents might have parties in the homes or during the legal hours, are we going to have any problems from the seniors since they are really irritated by the noise and stuff that would cause all these calls that we might receive against us during those legal hours? Will they take those rights from us as well?
There shouldn't be any issue with that. The insulation on these buildings will be very thick, especially on the residential end.
Mm-hmm.
But for a building of this size, there shouldn't be any effect unless you are waking the whole neighborhood. At which point the
which we're
police
not,
would
yeah.
call.
No, which we're not.
All right.
Yeah. And also the concern about the height is even if it's a little bit lower than what the actual 3-story might be, it's going to be covering our view and our house and everything else.
Yeah. Staff?
Sure, if I could answer that one. I think the interesting aspect of this project is that it's a conditional use permit, and the conditional use permit is to look at the operations and make sure that the operations can be compatible with surrounding properties and uses. We provided the example of the Walgreens when we were talking about calls for service. And so we use that example because it's a use that's permitted by right without any discretion by staff. So if someone were to purchase that property and want to come in and build a 35-foot tall Walgreens as measured from the height of the alley, that would be permitted without any discretionary action, and that would be constructed without a public hearing notice being sent to the adjacent property owners. So in this instance, I think the applicant and the architect have worked proactively with staff to kind of address that concern and stepping the building back a little bit with the viewing deck in the rear. So I think the applicant has taken some steps to address it. But I just wanted to kind of equate the two, which is a larger building could be constructed there without a public hearing.
And I'll say this, that the architect and designer have set it back 10 feet and stepped it back, so you'll have more sunlight than you would have if they had built all the way up into the front. Unfortunately, there's no view rights in the city of El Cajon. I know my grandparents lived on a hill in Bay Park, and that was a big thing with the residents. One person built a 2-story home and blocked someone else's view, so the person behind them built a 2-story home and blocked the person behind them. They built a 2-story, and this whole neighborhood just grew because everybody wanted their view. Unfortunately, we don't have any view protections in the city of El Cajon. And while the plant house would have been a lovely backyard, a residential care facility is allowed, and they've done all they can to keep it from looming over your house. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's anything we can do about your sunsets. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not only about the sunsets. It's like about bringing a whole building inside my backyard. Is my concerns about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
and we can talk to applicant about that viewing deck on the back and maybe putting some plants or something, making that back so that they're not staring directly into your backyard.
Yes, yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another speaker request.
Is this for this item?
He previously spoke.
Oh.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Younghusband, and my neighbor and I both live on the alleyway just adjacent to where this property is going to be go in. And I've been there for 20 years, and Bob has been there about the same. And that alleyway is something that is an absolute nightmare for us, and has been. And I had thought many times about coming into city council and talking about that. But, however, looking at your drawings and seeing what you have proposed, our concern is that when they find trouble with maybe getting materials and trucks and so forth in and out of there, they're going to have an ingress, regress to the alleyway, where cars are going to be using that on a very constant basis. And one thing that alley does not need is more traffic. So if we have the assuredness that that is going to be just for the trash pickup and stuff in that little alcove, that's obviously what it's meant for. But to future plans of maybe going to Plan B and cutting that open so trucks can get in and out of there, or having that traffic going back and forth in that alleyway, won't be acceptable to the residents at all.
So your concern is more for the construction?
I'm concerned about them opening up the rear of that property on the alley and allowing cars to go in and out, delivery trucks to go in and out. There's already a problem with the alley, but that's only going to make it worse.
Do you have any suggestions that would make it more acceptable to you?
I would say for trash pickup only, that alcove, I didn't get a really good picture of that, but the alcove they've developed in there, like we all have one, where they roll the dumpsters out The truck comes in, picks them up, dumps them, they lock the gates, and they drive away. But to have that opening go into the facility itself is going to allow trucks, whoever needs to go in and out is not going to use 2nd Street a lot of times. They're going to use that alleyway.
Well, I can address that. The entrance to the parking garage and to the structures on 2nd, delivery trucks will make stops at the back for food, for supplies.
That's not going to work. That alleyway is too narrow, too busy, and you're going to have some problems on your hands with that. Just my opinion. I've lived there for over 20 years, and I've seen people, I'm a former law enforcement officer, going 85 miles an hour down that alleyway.
Down the alley?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a raceway, and there, kids and bikes and motorcycles and stuff, but by in any way, shape, or form thinking you're going to deliver something out of that alley into that business, it's going to be a nightmare.
I don't see a driveway going to the alley. I see the driveway in the front, but I don't see a driveway in the back. Is there a driveway in the back?
There's no driveway in the back.
But how are they going to get their deliveries in?
There's a receiving bay next to the trash pickup.
Okay.
I thank you for your input.
Okay.
Staff?
The applicant, of course, can speak more to delivery operations and the day-to-day operations of the site. I would reiterate again that the primary driveway for cars visiting the site, staff, is off North 2nd Street. It is anticipated to be, again, a low-intensity use based on a parking rate of 0.39 spaces per bed. They do provide the recess along the alley there for delivery, which is anticipated only for those purposes. And I might add that the resolution and planning policy in general would require development consistent with this plan set, so there should not be any changes to these floor plans which would reorient those driveways.
Right.
How deep is the recess?
Approximately 12 feet.
12 feet? Okay. Thank you.
All right.
All right. We were just going to suggest that maybe if the traffic does come back and forth, they have speed bumps installed in that alley. It's something we need anyway.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead and fill out your speaker card and turn it in. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, I have a card from Sean Savage.
Oh, okay. Come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm the civil engineer working with the applicant. Just to reiterate some of the concerns, with that parking garage being depressed low, there's no way for them to open that up to the alley. And I was going to suggest that setback that we have along the alley, the trucks will be able to pull over to the side there. And that alley being 24 foot wide presently, there would be adequate room for them to pass by any vehicular traffic. The anticipation is that you're not having backing up and ingress and egress perpendicular. It all stays parallel in the direction of travel.
And out of curiosity, from an operational standpoint, I don't know if you can address this, how often would a delivery be made?
I would defer to Paul Mullen on that.
All right.
Yes, so typically we'll see deliveries once a week in the morning. Cisco is the primary deliverer of food. They offer any number of sizes. I think, Mike said it best. It'd probably be a box truck that we'd order them to use. We wouldn't want a semi by any means. It wouldn't fit back there. So we would work that out with the food delivery service. But usually it's once a week in the morning. We're not looking for tons of deliveries on food.
So food deliveries, janitorial supplies, medical supplies.
Yeah, the biggest delivery
not a lot.
Would be food. Yeah, all the DME and everything else could come into the garage in a van or in a box truck.
Okay, thank you.
And if I, again, may just reiterate
Mr. Garmo.
Point I think I want to address is the only opening where cars can come in and out is through Main Street, through Second Street. That's the only driveway. There is no driveway to go in and out from the back. It's just for purpose of delivery. So we designed it, honestly, at more costs so that none of our neighbors see a car, a parking lot. It would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars cheaper for us had we left the parking uncovered. I pushed to say, look, I don't want to see a parking lot here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's cover it and have beautiful trees and shrubs around it. And so that the only access point inside through vehicles is through the front.
All right, thank you. Any further speakers?
I don't have any more cards.
All right. Seeing no more speakers, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Serco, seconded by Commissioner Edison. Please vote.
And motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right. So there are some concerns with the alleyway, but most of those are neighborhood concerns. I mean, I'm on Oakdale. Our posted speed limit is 30, and people go 75 down it.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be people. In regards to the speed bumps bring their own problems, but where they're saying they want speed bumps, I'm not even sure if we can do that. I'm not even sure if it's city property. Is that, at least to acknowledge their suggestion, what would be staff's response to that?
Yeah, that alley is a public alley. And,
We've got no sound on you. There you go.
there we go.
There you are.
Yeah, the alley's a public alley. The speed bumps we don't really do here in the city. We can always put in additional speed limit signs. I know there are speed limit signs on the north and south of that alley. It's a 15 mile per hour alleyway, and it can be enforced as a 15 mile per hour. But we would just have to add some more signs or pavement markings with the 15 mile per hour legends. So,
If not the speed bumps, well, I mean, and the cost is always a factor. I mean, the signs would be a lesser cost. What would be your answer to that?
yeah, the signs definitely would be a lesser cost. Speed bumps, it'd be a higher cost, and then the type of speed bump that we would use there would, since it's an alleyway, would be not like a parking lot bump, would be just like a normal speed hump that that the city has used in the past.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think it's a good project. It's better than what we have there right now, a vast improvement. So I think that's it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And so far as adding some foliage in the overhang or the balcony, I wouldn't mind going with that. But I think all in all, I think it's well thought out, well planned. And I think it would be an improvement on that street, on the alley, and the entire community. So I'm for it.
And we do have a great need. We've got an aging population, myself included. All of us still alive are aging.
All of us.
So
I'm closer to it than you are.
I think it's beautiful design, having the parking structure covered by an atrium, having a courtyard on the inside. The perimeter landscaping is well done. The memory care on the third floor, excellent. The coverage, all that stuff. You guys have done a great job. You've done a lot of thinking, Mr. Garmo. Thank you. There were one or two things that we talked about in the discussion. One would be to limit deliveries during normal business hours so that there's no 2 a.m. delivery waking kids up in the neighborhood. And then the concerns with the viewing of people's backyards and into their homes from that loft. I'm sure you guys can work with the applicant on that. I don't think we need to put that into the conditions of approval, but I would like to see if we could incorporate the delivery hours into those conditions.
I'm looking over at the applicant, and they're nodding yes. So they have no concerns with that.
Okay.
And what about the speed? Can we do at least one or two signs as a deterrent? I know it's not going to stop people from being what they do, but more of a deterrent.
Well, I don't think the signs are so much a part of this development.
I agree.
So it wouldn't go with the conditions of approval.
I agree, because it's offset. It's not it's not part of it, but would the applicant be opposed? It's not part of your project, so you don't have to answer. He's 100% right.
Public hearing's currently closed.
Yeah, so yeah, you're
I was going to say, honestly, I would prefer to have a couple of signs from us that says, children at play, slow down, or something like that.
no, but it's fine because the public hearing is closed. I just wanted it's more of a suggestion. So
Yeah.
The commission could certainly add that as a requirement to the conditional use permit. So if you wanted to add a requirement to add an additional sign, a speed limit sign, we could work with the applicant to implement that.
fair enough.
All right. Do we wish to do so?
I would like to do
Okay.
a motion. Well, are we ready for a motion?
I think so.
I would move to adopt the next resolution in order approving the proposed CEQA exempt and CUP number 2023-0004, subject conditions.
I second it.
And with the amendments we suggested?
With the amendment. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Edison, second by Commissioner Sotile. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right. This is not going to City Council, so unless it's appealed, this action is final. If you want to appeal, do so with the filing of form and payment of a filing fee no later than 5 p.m. Monday, January 6, 2025 in the City Clerk's office.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I may just to clarify the additional conditions of approval, that would be delivery hours between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And then adding a requirement for the implementation of a speed limiting sign.
That's correct.
Thank you.
However, usually the produce market is open between 4 and 5 a.m. in the morning. So if the trucks go to the produce market, they pick up their delivery. Usually by 6 or 7 o'clock, they could deliver. So you want to set a time limit during those hours between 8? Okay, that's fine.
All right. Agenda item number 3. Oh, let's take a brief 1 minute so you can clear. Thank you.
My iPad just died. Perfect timing. It died and came back to life.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
You ready? Okay. And we got, it's been sitting open the whole. Let's continue with agenda item number 3. This is a garage auto body shop. That's the project name. The request is an auto body and paint shop. It is CEQA exempt, and staff is recommending approval. Staff.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Spencer Hayes. I'm an Associate Planner with Community Development. And the next project for your consideration is Garage Auto Body Shop, submitted by Mustafa Gulami. The project proposes, again, an auto body shop that would be locating in an existing commercial structure. The project does not propose to modify the existing building, but does plan to install an indoor paint booth. Outside of the paint booth, the only physical changes would be a project boundary wall, which would be along the southerly property line, which is a proposed condition of approval. The site is addressed 821 West Main Street, which is between Richardson and Richfield Avenues. The site is just over 5,000 square feet, or 0.12 acres, and the existing structure covers roughly 90% of that property. Surrounding uses include the SDG&E peaker plant to the north across West Main Street, a recreational vehicle and auto upholsterer to the east, a paint contractor and waste hauler to the west, and a residential unit directly adjacent to the south. The project is within the general plan designation, general commercial, and also within the general commercial zoning designation. The site is also within the commercial village designation within the Transit District Specific Plan. The TDSP does not prohibit auto-related uses within the boundaries. The existing structure includes offices, a lobby, and roll-up vehicle door directly adjacent to the frontage on West Main Street. And to the rear of the lot, the structure is a Quonset-style garage, and as I mentioned before, the building covers the majority of that property. Here's the proposed floor plan, and it shows the existing configuration of the building with the dashed line indicating the approximate location of the proposed indoor paint booth. The paint booth does require a building permit and approvals from the San Diego Air Pollution Control District, APCD. The floor plan includes the aforementioned offices and approximately 2,600 square feet of garage and storage area. The former use was a window covering contractor who used the space for fleet storage and warehousing. And this is the street view of the site in question. Again, the large garage door right on the public, fronting directly onto the public right-of-way. And staff's recommendation of approval is accompanied by positive findings for consistency with the general plan. The proposed conditions require some basic updates for consistency with the zoning code, namely the installation of the residential boundary wall along the southerly property line. The proposed use is conducted completely within the enclosed building and operates in operations consistent with the proposed hours of operation, permit requirements, and zoning code performance standards would not result in a use that is detrimental to the public health or safety. If the use were to become an issue, remedies exist through co-compliance action or through review of this conditional use permit by the Planning Commission. And finally, the existing structure is suitable for the use and is surrounded by similar heavy commercial activities. It's proposed that the project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to Section 15301 of the CEQA guidelines for existing facilities, and staff's recommendation is for approval of the CEQA exemption and conditional use permit number 2024-0012, subject to conditions. And I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Believe it or not, every time I've passed that building, I've wondered how people get to the Quonset hut. Because Quonset hut construction was rampant in the late 40s, and that building in the front looks like it was built in the 60s, and I didn't know they were connected. So that's a really cool enclosed business. I actually have no questions for staff.
I don't think there's any parking in the front, is there? There's no room.
Just street parking.
There's actually recent improvements on West Main Street, and there's no street parking on West Main.
Oh, there's no street parking.
No street parking. So people have to just drive into the business.
Correct. The condition of approval is that the customer vehicles be contained completely within the site and not be parked on adjacent public streets.
Right. And across the street is Earl Scheib auto body, correct? Yeah, I think there is.
Yes.
Across
up
the street. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And next door is an upholstery place, auto upholstery place.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Just
I've been
east.
there. They do a good job. I got my car posted there. Yeah. Well,
Any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay. Let's open the public hearing.
I do not have any speaker cards for this item.
All right. I don't know if the owner is present, but I don't have any questions for the owner either.
If I could interject, they weren't able to make it tonight,
Okay.
but we did communicate before the meeting. They understand all the conditions, proposed conditions of approval, and are willing to accept them. So,
Okay. Good. And I don't think you want to talk about this item, so, okay. No members of the public wish to speak on this item. I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Serco, second by Commissioner Edison. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right. I think this is a great use of a building that I didn't know wasn't in use.
Great use.
And paint inside, San Diego Air Board's going to have to figure that one out. But there's no overspray into the upholstery business, so we're good.
And any germs inside would be taken care of by the paint.
Right.
Great use. Glad to see more business in Alcon.
Yeah.
I move to adopt the next resolution in order approving the CEQA exemption and CUP 20240012, subject to conditions.
I will second this one. Motion made by Commissioner Edison, second by Commissioner Circo. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right, and this is final here. There's no city council hearing, so unless it is appealed, that's a final decision. If you wish to appeal, do so with the filing of a form and payment of filing fee no later than 5 p.m. Monday, January 6, 2025, in the city clerk's office. All right. One more item on our agenda, number 4, is the North Johnson Energy Center battery storage. The request is for an energy storage facility. It is CEQA exempt. Staff is recommending approval. And before I turn it over to staff, I just want to say I read this and I went, didn't we already do this? And I realized this is across the street. So,
not to make it even more confusing, but the Planning Commission did approve a project at this site in 2021, and it's substantially the same project. But yes, you are correct. There's an additional project across the street at 203 North Johnson that's to the north of the Literacy First Charter School. So the site that we're talking about tonight, if I can go to the next slide, is at the southwest corner of Benedict Avenue and North Johnson Avenue. Mm-hmm. So it's actually on, well, it's technically not on, it's on a separate parcel, but it's in next to the SDG&E station that's there.
It's practically on site.
Yes.
Okay, so then this is where we had previously approved one.
Yes, this the applicant can speak more to it, but in 2021, this essentially the same project was approved by the Planning Commission. It subsequently expired, and now the applicant is returning because the CUP expired. I think the good benefit for the general public and for safety purposes is that the conditional use permit was reviewed in accordance with all fire accessibility standards, and it's subject to new fire code standards and other safety precautions that have been implemented in the last 2 years. So there's new conditions of approval, but essentially the same project.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So not much more to add beyond that, but I would say the overall site is 2.2 acres. They are proposing to demolish some structures on the site in order to accommodate the battery storage. The battery storage areas are shown in blue on the site plan here. Additionally, they are proposing new 12-foot screening walls that would surround the facility. I would note for the record that the resolution does indicate 10-foot screening walls. There was subsequent resubmittals from the applicant, and so the intent is for 12-foot screening walls. There will also be landscaping to help buffer those screening walls. The general plan designation for the site is light industrial, and the zoning is heavy commercial, light manufacturing, or CM zoning. And the site is located within the main Marshall-Johnson industrial area, and from staff's perspective, very well suited to support the existing SDG&E operations. This is the elevation of the proposed fencing, up to 12 feet high. It does include corrugated metal as well as some columns in between. This design is consistent with the screening that is around the power peaker plant that is directly to the west of the subject site. So staff found it to be compatible and consistent with the existing development and is in support of this proposal. So staff's recommendation, as I said, it was essentially the same project that was approved by the Planning Commission approximately 2 years ago. So staff's recommending approval of the project and recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the CEQA exemption and then the conditional use permit subject to conditions.
All right. I think I just want to ask why from 10 to 12 feet?
The applicant can speak a little bit more to it. There has been continuous evolving technology as it relates to batteries, and when it comes to the approval of fencing heights, It's more challenging for staff to approve an increase in a wall height as opposed to a decrease in wall height. So I believe the applicant, in our discussions with them, was looking at the types of batteries that they're planning to install and wanted the flexibility of going up to 12 feet. The fencing is set back it's not directly at the sidewalk, so it's set back from the street and it'll be buffered by landscaping. So from a staff perspective, it's essentially similar to an existing building or a building being constructed there. And the design is consistent with the other screening measures that are there. So staff had no objections.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
So you said there's been some improvements regarding the safety of the lithium batteries there, because I know that some facilities have caught on fire, like the one in Escondido.
Mm-hmm.
So they let it burn down. So those issues have been addressed or are going to be addressed insofar as the danger of a fire being started.
Yes. There is a requirement for an evacuation plan as part of the conditional use permit and for additional safety measures. I'd like to defer probably to the applicant to speak more to that, just because the battery technology aspect of things has been evolving quickly over the last couple of years. I know in speaking with the fire marshal at certain points, some of the battery technology is even beyond what's in the California Fire Code, and so they're going to specialists to get more input. But I would say from a staff perspective, all of this effort is increasing safety as opposed to decreasing safety.
Okay.
All right. Let's open the public hearing. Do we have any speaker cards?
I do not have any speaker cards. But
All right. You can come up to speak, and then we'll ask you to fill out a card before you leave.
Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Gary Franzen with the North Johnson Energy Center. Also at the site, as Mr. Alvey pointed out, is our El Cajon Energy Center, which is a gas turbine project, and so this battery energy storage project will sit adjacent to it. Tonight I have with me my president, Mr. Hal Dittmer, and then another junior planner with the company, John Franzen. And then also online should be a principal planner with Ramble America's Environmental. So if there are any technical questions, we can whistle him into the game as well.
All right.
I will compliment you, Mr. Serco, on your memory of having already approved this project. The last time you heard this, we were all sitting in our bedrooms and living rooms. It was the time of COVID. Mm-hmm. So it was a Zoom meeting at that point in time. So yes, anyway, I think we have read through the staff report. We think it was well written. Thank you, Mr. Alvey. And we're just here to say we agree with the conditions of approval and are here to answer questions.
All right. Do we have questions for the speaker?
Same question regarding the safety for the ion batteries, the lithium ion batteries. I noticed, I read that there's going to be some cooling type of ventilation there to keep it cold. Wouldn't that use electricity in order to do so, or how does that work?
It does. It's a so the technology that is planned is to use what are called Tesla megapacks, and the megapack modules are equipped. The batteries actually sit on top of cooling plates, and it's a refrigerated system. So it just it circulates very cold water into that cooling plate to keep all the batteries at the cell temperatures that they need to maintain.
And that would be monitored?
It is. There's a very large battery BMS, battery management system that monitors not only temperature but electrical characteristics of the system as well to make sure that temperatures stay within spec and that amperages, for example, also stay within spec. The batteries don't get pulled on too hard and cause the amperages to go up, which then produces the heating. If the computer system sees that happening, it cuts that portion of the system off or turns it off and kind of locks it out.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's real quick question because I want to stay in my lane and it'll probably be speaking above my head, but for us laymen, is there a human element to the kill switch if like a computer fails or to prevent any accidents?
They're
speaking to us people that
Right. Typically, there are e-stop buttons, emergency stop buttons, I believe, on each of the megapacks, and then there are typically, site-wide e-stop buttons as well that basically open all the breakers, thereby isolating, the electrical feed into and out of the facility.
So those are manned by a person?
It's typically an unstaffed facility, so the computers do lion's share of the work, and then we have a remote operations center that is monitoring from a remote operations desk.
So even if it's remote, I guess you agree that there's somebody there. Even if it's remote, that's
yes,
that's still good.
It's 24/7 monitored by people and machines, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
I know you're still looking at exactly how the batteries are, or the megapacks are, whatever systems. So the 12-foot versus the 10-foot wall. And I don't have any problem with the 12-foot necessarily. But I do have I don't know if the top portion could be partially transparent to soften the wall around it. You've got a great setback, the landscaping, I love all that. And like Noah said, even if it's solid, it's set back far enough that it's like a building. But I just wonder if it does need to go 12 feet, if there's some way you could soften the top of that.
Yeah, so let me try this. So as Noah mentioned, the equipment, we think we know what it is. And
right.
That sits about 9 or 9.5 feet tall is what the dimension of the equipment is. That normally then gets placed on top of a foundation, and whether that's 6-8 inches more, then you end up in that 10-foot range. So I think the primary concern that we've tried to address is a visual screening requirement, because I think what my understanding is that the city doesn't want to see is basically something that looks like a bunch of storage containers sitting in this location. So
that's correct.
I appreciate the softening comment, but I think it kind of defeats the screening purpose that the 10 or 12-foot wall needs. We don't want to go any taller than we need to, but until kind of the final design of the facility is in hand and final dimensions of the equipment is known, we're wanting a little bit of flexibility to not have to work hard with staff for a permit modification or whatever.
Absolutely, and I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Just wanted to express that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't think we have any further questions. Do we have any further speaker cards?
I don't have any.
Oh, that's right, you don't have any. All right, and unless you two gentlemen wish to speak, and I'm seeing heads shake vigorously, I think that was our last speaker. I move to close the public hearing.
Go ahead. I second it.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Serco, seconded by Commissioner Sotile. Please vote.
And motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right. Now,
I think it's a great project. Anything that would reduce the possibility of a rate increase of electricity is great.
oh man, I remember before the grid got all connected everywhere, and San Diego was independent with San Onofre, and I'd hear about blackouts everywhere, and we were like, well, we're sitting pretty. And then when we got all connected and we had that multi-state blackout because of the grid, stuff like this and the increase in solar on homes. I know my house is solar, but it's not my solar. I sell all my electricity to SDG&E and then buy what I need back. And battery storage like this will help keep a balance during stormy weather or nighttime use and all that. So
2010, 11, when that big blackout happened, somewhere around there. But yeah, that was fun.
It was. All right. I've got no comments on this, so
No, I don't.
I'll make a motion. I move to adopt the next resolutions in order, approving proposed CEQA exemption and CUP number 2024-0001, subject to conditions.
I second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Serco, seconded by Commissioner Sotile. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
All right. More batteries. All right. Do we have any other items for consideration?
No other items for consideration, but just one staff communication, if I can move on to the next item.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to thank the Commission for a great year. I know it was a lot of work, and I really appreciate, it was a long meeting this evening, but as always, we want to meet the needs of our development community, and a lot of people like to get their projects, finished up right before the end of the year, so we had a lot of things all come together at once. So just again, thank you to the Commission, and happy holidays, and look forward to seeing you in 2025.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a long time since we had meetings over an hour, but I won't ever forget the 4-hour meeting. That was 11 o'clock, and we were like, we need to be done. So it's a pleasure to serve. Any commissioner reports?
Likewise. No.
Comments?
Thank you to staff for all your work. I appreciate it.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And it is a pleasure to serve the city of El Cajon. Thank you for doing business in El Cajon. Thank you for working with us, and thank you for your patience. I move to adjourn to January 21st.
I will second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Serco, second by Commissioner Edison. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of members present.
Thank you.
Good night, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy